Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Oakland A's. In our previous episode, we had a very quick end to the postseason. We barely made it, and we got stomped pretty hard when we did. This is a very interesting season. It is an interesting season because this is our last season with our two big superstars as part of the team, namely Sean DeWitt and Santiago Luna. Potentially, DeWitt could opt into his contract, but I don't think he will. I think DeWitt has been a very high performing player. He likely thinks he can make more money elsewhere. If we keep DeWitt, I certainly won't cry about it. I'll be pretty chuffed if that happens. But if it doesn't happen, then we are prepared adequately. But Luna's gone. Like there's no denying it. Santiago Luna is his last season with the A's. So one of our keys, either this offseason or early next season, is finding a replacement shortstop. And I don't think that person is on the roster right now. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. We'll figure it out, though, for sure. There's a lack of staff cohesion right now. We need somebody that is ideally temperamental or failing that personable. First of all, I want to start spending more time checking relationships. Okay, so this is you're going to help develop who not so much. Looks like Goldby is very much a pitcher's type of person, more than a hitter's, so that's fair. We only need a third base coach, so let us begin by checking who we already have. Skip Shoemaker is normal. Normal isn't bad, but it's not helpful. We want temperamental where we want personable, so let's see. Let's look at Carmen here. Carmen isn't that good. I think we need an outside coach. So we're going to check coach ratings. Do not save, please. And we're going to sort by development. Luis Caballero would actually be a fairly good choice. How would you get along with this current team? You would be a home run hire. Yeah, I'm not going to question it. Mr. Caballero, please join us in Oakland as the new third base coach. Done. Next, let us find ourselves a new pitching coach, possibly a promotion from within. How would you get along if I made you the pitching coach in AAA? I mean, I'm just going to promote people. I know it's subpar to spend a bunch of time, not spend a bunch of time trying to improve it, but I just, frankly, can't be bothered. Amancio won't take a promotion to high A. He doesn't consider it a promotion. Let's promote to zone. And then we just need to bring in an elite pitching coach. Michael Cooper would be amazing. Let's do it. Let's try to get him to join. And then let's talk arbitration. None of our players are really due a giant raise except for Stoll. and Gallego. Let's take these players one at a time. I feel like we'd be quite silly not to keep Stoll. I know he isn't the best possible pitcher, but $12 million for a 3-win pitcher, who was very recently a 4-win pitcher, is actually pretty reasonable. I'm not going to overthink this one. We're just going to do a 1-year deal. That's one of the easiest choices we're going to make all season. Chris Allen. I don't know what to do with him. Part of me thinks I'm letting myself get suckered in because he is... like, he's somebody that I invested heavily in. I mean, the 13th overall draft pick is certainly nothing to sneeze at. But he hasn't been a very good pitcher. Like, that's not disputable. He hasn't been that great. He's been solid. His peripheral suggests that he's maybe was a victim of bad luck. I'm going to keep Allen for another year. I think even the money he's asking for is relatively reasonable given what we're getting out of it. We can probably keep him. Chris Bork is just an easy choice to bring back for a year. We'll probably bring back a lot of the relievers from last season. Georg Hunt is an obvious choice. Mr. Hunt finally had a good season for the first time in his career because he got a chance to pitch regularly. So I think a very modest raise for him is warranted. Alexis Pinto has been a really good pitcher as well. I think a raise for him is equally plausible. That probably won't get it done. Man, this guy wants to make all of the money, doesn't he? I'll give you $4 million. Really, fucker? That's all you get, dude. Don't be grabby. I have not ignored Brexton May. I think he's been too good too recently to give up on now. I'm not going to promise you the rotation, but if I can get you to sign for like 3 years... If I wanted a long-term deal with you, what would that take? Because I see a guy who could either be a rubber-armed reliever or a pretty good starting pitcher. And he's only a year removed from being one of the better starters I have. If I wanted a long-term deal for, say, 6 years, what would you want? This is incredibly reasonable. I will happily do this if you don't expect a starting pitching role. Like, that is an eminently reasonable deal, the exact kind of deal I want to make to lock up useful, durable pitchers in their future. I don't know what the real Dan Espinosa is. It's not going to cost very much to find out, and so I will happily offer him a 1-year extension. But I'm not even going to guarantee him the starting lineup. Like, he had a really rough year. What the fuck are you talking about? I am not paying you that much money. Dude, you're not worth... fine. Yeah, I literally can only pay you the arbitration amount. If you're going to be a bitch about it, I will trade you. Alright, there you go. Here's my problem with trading Gallego. What about Juan Escobedo? Escobedo, again, is very, very near to having a fantastic season. And if we just have to give him one more chance, I think it'll be worth the money. What do we do with Gallego? He basically wants to double his salary. Not quite doubling it, strictly speaking, but pretty close to it. And here's the thing. He was absolutely incredible just a season ago. I don't think that's his real talent level, though. I don't see him hitting 344 again. Or especially having a nearly 500 slugging percentage, because he basically had to lead the league in doubles for that. However, what he is an extremely competent second baseman, third baseman, shortstop. And that is so valuable, especially when we're going to be leaving Mr. Luna in a season, that I think a one-year deal does make a little bit of sense. I don't know which position he's going to be playing, quite frankly, but I know that he'll be worth it wherever we play him, whether it's third or second or short. Chris Hughes, if you would come back for like $2 million, I'd consider it, but I know that you won't. I know that you want that $9 million that you got from me in the past, and I quite simply can't afford it. I quite simply cannot afford it. Wow, you were bad, Jesus Medrano. Like, legendarily bad. That's no bueno. Caballero seems pretty pleased to be joining us, which he did. It's gonna take some time, but I think this is really gonna help us out with our coaching. Adam Rosales doesn't get along all that well with most of our hitters. That's potentially problematic. When contracts are coming up, I'm going to pay a lot more attention to relationships. But for right now, we'll survive. We will survive. I will offer you additional funds if that is what it will take to bring you along. And then we're gonna play who are our shortstops of the future. Okay, Stoll, Escobedo, Allen, Espinosa, Borg, Hunt, Cooper, Pinto, Gallego, and Matt. So this is all very, very good. We've made some real progress as far as wait, who's coming back? Oh, you guys. Let us send you both to AAA. There you go. Brilliant. A gold glove for Sean DeWitt. Nice. He's got a few of those. Very appreciative. A reliever of the year to Shamar Pamphile. That's extremely special. He might get some votes for Rookie of the Year as well, but I wouldn't count on it. If he does, amazing, but... Hall of Fame voting, some Silver Sluggers. Santiago Luna was the only one. That's fair. Everybody signed, right? Yeah. Okay. Hall of Famers. Bogey is screwed. I think he deserves it, but I just don't see him making it. I'll give him a vote, but I don't think it's gonna matter. I think he's not gonna make it. I will vote for De La Cruz and Wander Franco and Peyton Green and Alejandro Kirk. Jordan Lawler seems decent. Zebby Matthews seems amazing. Oh, remember when we were excited that we got Derek Mitchell? I'm less excited now. I'll vote for Aaron Nola, though I don't think it's going to matter. Julio Rodriguez seems like a pretty easy choice. So does Alec Thomas. I'll vote for Paul Skeens. Why the hell not? And James Wood also seems reasonable. I've got 3 more spots. A reliever with a nearly 40 WAR is pretty crazy. I think we have to vote for Omar Sanchez. And then vote for old friend Jim Crispin, maybe, just for fun. And then I think Francisco Alvarez is the other big-time player that I think is worthwhile and is worth my vote. Submit ballot. What can I say? I'm a bit of a homer. I'm gonna vote those A's. Phil McDonald isn't interesting, so I will thank you kindly and pass. I shall pass. Alright, so I presently have the towering sum of negative $12 million. I cannot add payroll this year. There is no way for me to add payroll. Which means no free agency. I cannot participate in free agency this year. Unless something drastically changes. I'm going to have to cut the player development budget anyway. Let's try to cut it to 15 million. And let's try to step it back up to 15 million. That's fine. That gives me roughly 3 million. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce our draft budget. No, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave that alone. I can now get like a super cheap free agent if I'm so inclined. What would I even want? Okay, before we go a step farther, we need to talk about shortstop. So Julio Grajeda is an underrated potential future shortstop. I don't think he's going to be a very good one, but I think he'd be a fine utility guy. So let's do this. Search by... let's fix this first of all. Nope. There we go. Triple A. High A. I doing? Oh, I know the issue. I'm just having my Rule 5 roster there so I can tell who we're going to lose. That's fine. Oops. High A, low A, rookie ball, and the injured list. Okay. So let us now look at the minor leagues, and we're going to sort by shortstops. And we're going to see who has the potential to be a starting shortstop for us next year. Dusty Flanagan ain't a shortstop. He is an important piece to this team's future, but he ain't a shortstop. He's a third baseman. So he is excluded from consideration. Luis Ramos is a deeply, deeply interesting player. Because I have no idea what to expect from his bat. Abso-fucking-lutely none. I do think he has to be challenged this year, and we can't keep bouncing him back up and down the different roster spots. I'm going to take over his development. I'm going to send him to high A. He's got to get challenged. If we're going to figure out if he can hack it in the major leagues anytime soon, he has to be challenged to either start hitting or prove to be beyond salvaging. But I like Ramos a lot. He's such a weird player as a shortstop. A power first, defensive first shortstop is crazy, but really intriguing. Vince Callison has to be... We have to see growth this year. He's already on a very... He's going to be on an accelerated schedule. I think he's probably better suited to be a second baseman than a shortstop, but he could theoretically fill in a shortstop. He's got so much potential. I'm so glad we got him in the third round. It's just a question of can we develop him and give him that potential. Sergio Carrillo, third baseman, can't play short. Juan Pineda can definitely play short, can't hit. Dan Blaze maybe plays short, or Bays rather. Julio Grajeda is probably the closest to a short-term shortstop, but the fact of the matter is we don't have high potential shortstops. We just don't. Other than Callison and Ramos. Those are the two that have the potential to be starting caliber, top-tier shortstops. Whereas everybody else here is either way too far from the major leagues or just isn't that interesting. What do we do? What else do we do here this off season? Where can we perhaps improve the team? I think we've got a bunch of outfielders, but I do want to give Wilfredo Rivera some meaningful innings this offseason. Maybe let him try to earn a job in spring training, because I do think there is an opening on the rotation potentially. Or maybe not. But like Brexton May is a really good pitcher. We've got some really talented pitchers here. We just need really good, just raw talent at the infield position. I don't know who our first baseman is. It's probably Mesa. Or Mesa plays DH, one of the two. Somebody pointed out, $1.8 million could be a lot of money. Even for the A's, though, I don't think it is. And while I understand there is always a risk that he could get hurt, $2 million for even 2 wins is a really good bargain. And I think he can deliver that even if he doesn't play all the games. So we'll see how he does, but I think we're relatively set at first base and we're relatively set at DH. I don't know why we're playing Gordon Aishala, but I guess Aishala is at least a decent second baseman. But then where do we play Gallego? I'm not sure. I want to make sure that Herbertson gets lots of reps, though, because I think Herbertson could be a really good player. And he's had 2 back-to-back seasons where he was quite good. Let us, for right now, advance time a little bit before we try to make any free agent signings and see where that gets us. Actually, I should at least check the bargain bin, shouldn't I? I mean, I'll happily sign Zaire Stidham. No, that's going to kill most of my money. I don't think that's worthwhile. Good old Mike Swanson's looking for a job. That's cool. I just don't see us getting involved in this free agent market. It's too pricey for us, and the players being offered aren't enough for me to like mortgage any part of our future. I can't help but those 2 Oakland A's at the top there as closers. Somebody's gonna pay them a mint. Are we happy with our current middle infield situation? Do we want to try to acquire a new one? Gordy McGath is somebody we could potentially trade. Are there any prospects of any kind that are just like, you are worthless, you will never amount to anything? I don't think that there are. Like, we have some legit prospects in the upper echelons of our farm system. Dusty Flanagan could be an amazing third baseman. Nelson Vigil still has ridiculous amounts of talent. And even if his first full pro season hasn't been terribly enthralling, I think he's got lots of potential. Ramos is interesting. Callison we have to keep. Like, not only because he's a genuinely great player, but also because I don't have another option. Like, I don't have another player that I trust to his degree. So I'm not seeing a prospect that I'm really prepared to move on from, which means we're trading major league talent to try to get a middle infielder. What position do we have the most depth at? I don't think we have very many. Trading Luis Blas may be the most reasonable thing we could do. It's a position of strength for us. I think he'd fetch a reasonable price. What could we get for Mr. Blas here? Only prospects and only batters. What do we got? AJ Fulham is an interesting player, but not a shortstop. Joe Ivey is not a second baseman, even under the most generous definition of the term. Chris Lee ain't a shortstop. Jeremy Hurte is maybe an infielder, but not a shortstop. These are some bad second basemen. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, Albert Ambrosio is interesting, but he's not a shortstop. Let's focus on shortstop, and let's see what we're looking at here. Kellen Klosowski is a really, really good infielder. But maybe we could do a little bit better. Nate Weigel can hit but can't field. Jeff Stewart can maybe do both if we get lucky. But he'd be like an average second baseman. I don't think he's what we're looking for. I do think if we could get Klosowski and Weigel, I'd be pretty happy about that. Just to try to cover our bases. No, I want prospects, please. Why the fuck aren't you offering Jesus Barrera? I would take him immediately, and I'd send him right to the major leagues. Jared Jackson, you got him. Barrera is such a good defender with enough bat skills that I feel really confident about his abilities to be a positive contributor. Done. You go right to the big leagues, my friend. So they shouldn't ignore Rojas, but he hasn't proven he can hit, so we'll see if that works out for us. Let us now. I don't want to bother with free agents right now. I don't think it's the right time. Quite right, quite right. I think waiting until spring training time might be a chance for us to spend some cash. Steve Walker. Walker is reasonably competent. Omar Wildridge is not interesting. He's a hitter, but he's not a catcher. And while I'm not convinced Daniel Espinosa is all that special, I'm not going to give him away for that little. I do think Espinosa is a valuable trade shit, though, but I'm not willing to give him up just yet. An interesting independent leaguer. John Papalardo. I'll offer him a minor league deal if that's all he wants. Like, it costs me nothing but a roster spot in the minors, and I've got plenty of those, so yeah, sure. That happened. I don't know why I got notified, but it sure happened. No, why would I trade Mike Busick? Why would I trade Chris Allen, who's a better version of Mike Busick, potentially? Like, I recognize his ratings don't look amazing, but I still think he is a valuable pitcher. I mean, I guess you could argue that Mike Busick is better than Chris Allen is right now, but I'm not gonna bail you out by giving you Allen for free. Let's Rule 5 this bitch. Let's just auto draft. Juan Bardales is genuinely a special pitcher. He is genuinely an excellent pitcher. And if you're not going to give him a job in the major leagues, I will. Done. I don't want to just load up on relievers. Is there any position player that's worth taking? Ballard's not that interesting. Jennings is marginally interesting, I suppose, but I don't really have the room for him. Medardo Barca's not awful. I guess adding him and letting him compete for an infield job isn't the worst idea. We can try that out. And then I think that's it. I don't think we're going to do anything else in the Rule 5. Huh, Mike Swanson got grabbed in the Rule 5 draft. That was a choice someone made. Bardales could be special, though. I'm actually really pleased that we picked him up. Really pleased. Not the most exciting offseason. I know. And I just realized we haven't done anything as far as the international free agents. But I think we've already missed out on the opportunity. Oh, no, we haven't. We haven't yet. Okay. Cool. Omar Sanchez and Ellie De La Cruz made it. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, Bogarts was kind of screwed. Is Omar Sanchez the guys with like 40 wins above replacement as a reliever? Yeah, that's insane. That is an insanely good player. Under all definitions of the word player. That's crazy. It is the most wild. Right. You really want me to take Steve Walker off your hands. I will politely decline. Fiorello Sotelo is somebody I might be able to get really cheaply. What if I offered you 1.5, 1.2, 1.2.3? I offered you 1.5 million. Sure. I think that's it. I'm hoping I can sneak in there and grab him because nobody else will offer him. Nice. We got him. Gentlemen, we got him. Juan Cañas has accomplished very little. Chris Allen is getting worse. Ronnie Small is slipping a little bit. Jesus Jacobo keeps getting paid giant sacks of cash for being basically league average, and I'm here for him. I hope you have a wonderful time in Arizona. Juan Demoy is still kicking around. Neat. Ishmael Ibarra. Nice. Some old friends are getting signed. Okay. I will give Gordy McGrath a chance and Julio Grajeda a chance. I'm going to give Luis Ramos a chance to do some things and see if anything what he can do. We shall see, though. Right. Let us advance to the end of spring training. If we can just see a return to form from some of our better players from 2 seasons ago, I think we're going to be a better team. I think there's enough hope that we can really see special stuff this season. Potentially. I like how Bardales was a 40 out of 70 and has gone up to a 50 out of 65. That's pretty exciting already. That feels really good. Medardo Barca. Jonathan Dunlap. Next month. A week for Andy Daly. I don't care. Rivera's got a blister. Oviedo and Sellers both got new deals. Caleb Sellers has turned into a nifty little player. I kind of wish I hadn't given up on him quite so quickly. But I still feel good that we got the best version of Caleb Sellers. So even if we did give up on him relatively quickly, maybe more quickly than we ought to have, the fact of the matter is we got the best out of him. He's never been quite as good for other people as he is with us. And he turned into Randy Hoskins, who then got traded himself. So, yeah. Okay. A 0-0 shut tie in spring training is pretty crazy. Bobby Stoll got better. Excellent. Chris Riggins got better. Sam Feeney got better. Yeltsin Davini got better. Andy Daly got a lot better. Well, sort of. Like, what happened is he bottomed out and then shot back up. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but I'm here for it all the same. Price got worse. Espinosa improved his contact, which is going to be helpful. Luis Ramos did take to spring training quite well. That is true. Chris McCracken improved a bit. Some other improvements here. Chris Martin. Mitch Vaughn improved. Okay. So let's get down to 26 players. And let's make the really easy choices first. Minors. Minors. This season with how many pitchers? So these are 15. I still got to go to 2 more pitchers to get down to 13. I think Kingsley can go to the minors. And I think it has to be Rivera. I think Rivera is just much more valuable starting in the minors than he is relieving in the majors. So this is going to be our thing here. I wish you'd start Braxton May over Chris Allen, but I also get it, and I'm not opposed to it. All right, let's get the lineup squared away. I think Sean Mintz has earned one of the catching jobs. And I think Ronnie Small has so much offensive flexibility that I think Josh Price is going to be the odd man out. But I'm going to trade him because I don't see this scenario changing anytime soon. What could I get for Mr. Josh Price? Nobody? Really? Okay. I guess we waive him and hope nobody takes him then. Alright. Josh Lynch goes to the minors. Grajeda to the minors. Reyes to the minors. Ramos to the minors. Do we keep Espinosa or do we trade Espinosa? I think it's at least worth considering letting him make the roster, but we'll consider it later on. Barca is really solid all around. I want to keep him for sure. I think Aishala is the odd man out in the infield. So this gives us probably too many infielders, but maybe I can just get rid of 4 outfielders and we'll be fine. Navarro to the minors. And Davis to the minors. That still gives us 5 outfielders. I still have too many players. I think Espinosa, I think we have to trade him. I really don't want to. But what we got in 2040 is as good as we'll ever get from him. And I can't afford to carry 2 first basemen. I can't. Effectively 3 first basemen, because Robbie Herbertson isn't playing third base anytime soon. So I think we have to trade Espinosa. I think we have to get what we can for him while we can. Or just send him to the minors. Yeah, let's send him to the minors in case somebody gets hurt. I think Barrera is flat out better than Rojas, so Rojas goes to the minors. This is your opening day roster. Let me rebuild the lineups and see how you're gonna do this. Okay, so Robbie Herbertson is gonna play DH every day. I'm comfortable with that. I kind of thought that Dunlap would at least get a chance to play center field, but I get why he didn't. He didn't because Giuliano is such an amazing defensive center fielder. Like, he's truly exceptional. So it's going to be hard for the AI to overcome its prejudices to bench him in favor of Dunlap. Good. Dunlap is going to get some regular playing time, so I'm here for that. DeWitt's going to play left and right field, which is good. I think what's really going to be interesting here is how Ronnie Small does. Small's done nothing but produce as a backup catcher. Even if he'll never be a good starting catcher, I don't mind having an offense first backup catcher. Hell, even as a starting catcher, if we needed to. I hope we see Mintz develop a little bit as a hitter, but I do think we've got a decent catching tandem for the present. If we really wanted to go maximum chaos mode, we would take Luna off of shortstop. But I think we'll let him play his 5th and final season with the Oakland A's as a shortstop. Unless something wild and insane happens. So this is basically last year's lineup. The one change is Jesus Barrera. Barrera's new. And I think Barrera does present the most well-rounded shortstop option or second base option that we have at the moment. No problems with that. We are hoping a lot of the improvement is going to come from players bouncing back from subpar seasons. Escobedo is number one on that list. Escobedo went from being with 4 wins to being being just over replacement level. It isn't the power that changed. It's the contact, and it's the fact he got hurt and didn't play as much. Sean DeWitt could certainly do a rebound to his all-star level of performance. That would be very welcome. Very welcome indeed. I know it's reasonable to expect a full season out of Luna, but getting one from him would also be amazing. Mesa continuing. Herbertson maybe improving a little bit with more regular playing time. We're relying an awful lot on the lineup being as good as it was, better than it was last year out of natural improvement, because we didn't have too many new players. Hughes wasn't that impressive last year, so I think Barrera has a chance to outgain him. Has anyone signed Chris Hughes, by the way? Did anyone acquire our young friend? He is a Tampa Bay Ray for a minor league contract. Oh my gosh, that was... Wow. Okay. I'm a shortlist him. Man, I didn't even think to check him. That's on me. Friends, that is on me. We lost an opportunity there. The only change with the pitching staff, really, is Juan Bardales. I want to get May into the rotation, probably at the expense of Chris Allen. But I'm going to trust my manager at least to begin the season and see what we can accomplish with Allen in the rotation. Because Braxton May is an incredible bargain no matter how he pitches, as long as he pitches. I feel pretty good about that signing. Yeah. It's gonna come down to the pitching staff. If we can get a great performance out of our bullpen and our starters keep us in most games, I think the lineup is going to be effective enough to have us bounce back a little bit. I think we have some depth in the minor leagues and in the majors to where 1 or 2 injuries wouldn't be catastrophic to the lineup. Even if it was, say, DeWitt and Luna. But I wouldn't prefer that. And I definitely wouldn't want to lose one or both for the season again. I think a healthy Luna at the end of last season might have really made a difference in how effective we were in the postseason. This is going to be a fascinating season because we're potentially losing 2 franchise icons next season. In the offseason, rather. One of them is definitely going to be Luna. Like, I cannot afford to pay him $45 million. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah, this fucker wants to pay like $50 million a year. I'm not going to do that. That would be among the very stupidest decisions made in the history of Major League Baseball. I know, 2-time MVP. I fully accept that. He has had an incredible run with the Ace, and we've been very fortunate to have him on our team. 5 years is all he gets. Like, I'm not going to let the game trick me into paying him, like, $50 million a year for 7 years. Like, I want you to look at this contract request again. This is fucking stupid. paying any player in their mid-30s $40 million a year is pretty dumb. A shortstop who's recently had an injury history at $40 million is mega dumb. It's just bad business. And I cannot be the one to do that. I have a little bit of money. If we want to pitch in a little bit, we could potentially get a decent upgrade, but I want to save that money, I think, for a little bit later on. What does Bobby Stoll want to come back? Do not like. Do not like. I just don't see the benefit of paying Bobby Stoll $20 million a year. I mean, maybe he'll really earn his way to that exalted level, but I think he's also going to be gone. That's 3 key players that could be gone next season. If DeWitt opts out, he has low financial ambition. He may very well decide that he's earning plenty of money and that he wants to stay with the Oakland A's. I'd be happy if that happened, because I genuinely believe that Sean DeWitt is our best chance at a Hall of Famer. I truly think that's the case. We could use another 5 to 6 win seasons to really drive that home. But he might be the closest thing we're at to Hall of Famer. Luna might be a Hall of Famer too, because his peak is absurd. I only wish we'd had him when he was younger. But it is economic malpractice to offer a player in his 30s who already got hurt once at a premium defensive position he's not that amazing at that much money. If John Fisher fucking dies and the payroll can shoot up, I'm all in. I will hand a giant sack of cash to Santiago Luna, I guess, for 3 or 4 years. But definitely not for that long. This also puts us in the awkward position of having to keep Gallego for 1 more season. We're going to be replacing a starting pitcher, potentially a left fielder, potentially a shortstop. We could see as much as $70 million come off the books in 1 offseason. Which is obviously ripe for potential, but it's not necessarily a guarantee of quality performances. And the following season, McDevitt's up. And McDevitt also seems like a really bad choice to give another giant contract to. He's been a good pitcher, occasionally a great pitcher. But he's getting paid, he's going to want more money than he's got right now. That's just what he wants. And I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculousness in every sense of the word. I ain't going to do it. I'm not saying I won't keep his contract. Like, I might opt into the contract next year. That's possible. But I'm not going to extend him. And he seems like a poor bet to be a Hall of Famer just because of the way they've treated pitchers. Maybe he is. I don't know. Do you have any milestones coming up? Any milestones? Really? I could have sworn that Sean DeWitt will be close to 2,000 hits. Okay, I'm confused. Is DeWitt just in a weird spot where he doesn't show up in the home run list either? We'll look into that. I do actually want to look at his career numbers, though. It's the little rat. I'll tell you what. He's a fascinating enough player that if he doesn't want a minor league bonus, I will offer him a contract. You know what? I will offer him the major league option. I think this is a reasonable offer. Like, I don't know what role he would play, but I definitely like the cut of his jib. But we're going to look at Sean DeWitt's career numbers here in a second. That'll probably be the last thing through this episode. And Marulanda took the deal. Nice. Nice. Oh, I cannot demote him yet until he finishes his deal there. Okay. If I wanted to get stupid here, no, you won't let me do it. Damn. Okay. I do think we're weak in the outfield. So if Escobedo gets off to a slow start, I think there's a very realistic chance of seeing Marulanda get some playing time. With his elite speed, gap power, and plate discipline, I could see him getting meaningful appearances for the Oakland A's at some point. There's another gear for Dane Espinosa. Like, I don't think 2040 is the best we'll ever see of him. But I'm not super eager to call him back up unless there's a reason to do so. I do think Wilfredo Rivera is probably going to end up pitching at some point this season. Potentially. I am concerned about his movement. I do question that, but he throws so fucking hard that I don't think it matters. I think he throws so bloody hard that he's still not going to give up that many home runs. Maybe he will. Maybe I'm wrong. But he had a great season in AAA. And if he can keep that up, I think he'll be in the majors sooner rather than later. Josh Lynch. He could still be an important contributor. We just need to see him keep working on his power game. If we lose Sean DeWitt, who replaces him, I have no idea. I don't think that player is on this roster. I don't think there's any player that's as good in all the facets of the game as he is. With Gold Glove caliber defense, very smart base running, and quality offense. Sean DeWitt is nowhere near 2,000 hits. He's quite a ways away from that, in fact. Interesting. So at 168 hits a season, if that's what he continues as his career average, 10 more years is another 1,500 hits. If he plays until he's 40, I think he's in the Hall of Fame. Assuming he doesn't decline drastically, I think 10 more years and he's a Hall of Famer. That'll put him at almost 100 WAR. Now, there will be a decline phase, I'm sure, but we're talking best case scenario. 10 more years would put him over 500 homers, 2,800 hits, and 90 wins above replacement. That's a Hall of Famer in any era. Plus, adding another 200 stolen bases can't hurt his record. This isn't the Garrett Gunnels problem with the Pirates, which is Garrett Gunnels is a player whose value was so heavily based on walks that he had no chance of making the Hall of Fame because they couldn't see that. He's a really good player. that also happens to be a brilliant defender and a really good base runner. Which is why I hope DeWitt actually doesn't opt out of the contract. I hope we keep him. I hope we keep him. We can afford one high salary player. I just don't think we can afford 2 or 3. Which is why I think McDevitt's going to have to go at the end of next season. Which begs a question, assuming we don't keep Lino, which we won't. Mostly because I don't think it's going to qualify for arbitration. I think it's going to... No, maybe he won't play his way out of it. Anyway. Bobbert, I'm going to keep a close eye on you. Keep a real close eye on you. Because if you can pitch... You might end up getting a new contract just to match some of McDevitt. Because I don't think McDevitt's coming back in 2043. Unless we lose DeWitt. If we lose DeWitt, then I think we keep McDevitt. But I think it's one or the other, not both, in 2043. Absent, of course, John Fisher tripping on a banana peel and letting us have way more nice things. Robbie Herbertson is going to want a lot of money. That is a concern I have as well. But that's a concern for next time's Avi, not this time's Avi. Are there any position players I could maybe lock up? They seem like they could be pretty good. I'd love to get a player at below market level, especially if I think they're going to be an important contributor for a few years. None of the infielders seem like a good bet. Gallegos' value is so based on his batting average that if he hits poorly, like his first season, he becomes far less valuable. So he's not a great fit. Mesa's too injury prone to give a giant new contract to. That's a true statement. Espinosa's too unproven. Barrero's too unproven. I need Bowman to do something this season. I need Bowman to show that my faith in him is not misplaced. Because I do think Bowman could be a top-tier player. He's got great discipline, good contact, great gap power. He just hasn't gotten an opportunity. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe we should trade Juan Escobedo and see where that gets us. Because Escobedo's also getting pricey. And I am deeply concerned about his strikeout percentage. Or actually, no, he doesn't strike out as much as you think he would, huh? He's also got a lot of variance too, though. He's another guy that I question his ability to hit for a high average consistently. And he doesn't draw very many walks, so it's going to come down to pop and hits. If he can hit 290, he's going to be one of the better players in the league. If he hits 260, he's a little bit less impressive. But we got him for one more year, so we'll let him figure it out. But then I think Bowman's got to get a genuine shot. Just because if we look at this roster, if we take a peeky peek at it, not potential current ratings, please. We don't have a lot of consistent on-base threats. Bowman is really well-rounded, and I think is going to be the first to get an upgrade in playing time if somebody gets hurt. Man, DeWitt is like our best player in nearly every single way, which is both awe-inspiring and a little depressing. But we have 4 blue players, is the thing. This isn't like the NPB, not the NPB, sorry, KBO, where we don't have superstars, we have 4 legit superstars. And Luna, DeWitt, Mesa, and Herbertson. The problem is, one of those players is going to be gone next season, which is Luna. Unless Luna... What I'd love to do, but I don't think I can, if I could non-tender him and then offer him a qualifying offer, I would do that in a heartbeat. That I would happily do. But I don't think that's valid. Let me know in the comments if that actually works. If you non-tender a player so he becomes a potential free agent, can you offer them a qualifying offer? Because qualifying offers are getting cheaper than arbitration. And I would love to have him back for one more year, but only if he's cheap. If he isn't, we'll move on. We don't have a lot of contact hitters either. That's maybe even more troubling. And the contact hitters we do have don't have as many other tools. But yeah, this is going to come down to 3 hitters, really. DeWitt, Mesa, and Herbertson. And Luna, I guess 4 hitters. If they're all playing at a fairly high level, the rest of the lineup is going to benefit massively. Because we have to assume that Giuliano is not going to be a big contributor. Barrera, we have no idea about. And Mintz seems like he's only going to be drawing walks. That's his only offensive skill right now. Which means he's not reliable. But if he can hit in the 250 range, or even the 240 range, or 230, I think we see him be a decent catcher. I do want to take a super quick look. Sorry, I keep making the episode take longer when I say we're almost done. That's just how I roll, though. What are we looking at for catching? Because I think catcher is another potential weak spot. Just at catchers. Catcher is a huge weak spot. None of our minor league catchers are good defensively. They all suck. Can Kurt Phipps really catch? He sure can't. Ken Armstrong isn't actually bad, actually. Ken Armstrong is a legit catching prospect. If he can keep working on his ability to hit for average, I think he could be a really good catcher. Maybe I'm just being unfair. John Josephson isn't that great. Luis Mina could be really good. Could be really, really good. Jorge Orozco is a backup catcher's dream. Luis had 2 giant years in rookie ball, so if he can keep performing, that could be good. I guess they're a little bit better off than I had concerned myself with. I genuinely thought we were screwed at catcher. But nobody seems to be close to the major leagues is the problem. Look at prospect pipeline. So we'll look at A's. And I'll look at catcher. Yeah, they're all at least 2 years away. So I think we're stuck with Mintz and Small as our combo for at least a couple of seasons. Do we have anybody in the top 10? No. Vigil. These guys are all really far from the majors. Lynch and Rivera aren't. Bardalis is in the majors. So yeah. Our problem is a lot of our best talent is super far from the major leagues. Like, the most immediate upgrades that we could potentially see would be maybe Rivera and maybe Lynch if something happened to the players ahead of them in order. And Bardalis is going to produce right now. Barca is a potential dude there, maybe. But yeah, a lot of our minor leaguers are super far away from the majors. And notice the only guy who sent us a 2043 timeline is Chris McCracken. And McCracken's upside isn't that exciting. Or Sergio Carrillo. Or Tommy Tassi. Like, these aren't elite prospects by any stretch of the imagination. We've got 3 players in the top 100, which is really nice, but and some that could probably sneak in with a good season or two, but they're all really far from the big leagues, and that's what's most depressing. What's a fun way to finish this up? Let's do our traditional how did they get here? Okay, so we look at hitters. We drafted Small and Herbertson, DeWitt, Dunlap, and Giuliano. That's 5 players we drafted, 3 of which are starting, and 1 of which is an important backup. And then the other one is Dunlap, and we don't know what we have in him yet. That's pretty reasonable. None of them are first-round picks, oddly enough. The only first-round pick in the entire offensive roster is, in fact, Alfredo Mesa, who wasn't our first-round pick. This is really helpful. You know, getting rid of Escobedo might also help with team chemistry if that's problematic. That's another reason to think about moving on from him. Pitching with the real default. We've had more success building our pitching staff with the draft. Stoll, Devaney, and Allen were all drafted by us, as was Pamphile. I think we're really good at building our pitching staff through trade, with only 1 free agent on the roster, which is Chris Riggins, who we just signed last year. Sam Finney's apparently a dickwad, and McDevitt is selfish. How is our team chemistry? It's content, and people really don't like Escobedo. Also, Bowman is secretly like... Do we have any brilliant leaders? Let's do one last minor league check, and we're going to check the other default to see if we have any captains. We have a lot of unknowns. Interesting. What about this guy? He is outspoken. There's nothing wrong with being outspoken, but I do want a captain if there's one to be found. Interesting. That is something to consider as time progresses. We may want to try to find ourselves a captain. And get rid of Escobedo. That might help the clubhouse. We do have a lot of leaders. We don't have very many captains, is the issue. Okay. The hitters love them from Jason Haney. The pitchers, not so much. That may be something to think about as the team progresses. Are we well seated here? I think we are. Yeah. Cool. We're up to content, though. We've improved our cohesion a little bit. I think we just need to make another upgrade or two to really get us going good. Friends, that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe and comment down below to let me know what you think about finding a captain. Or if we can maybe do without it. Or if we think a captain would really push us over the edge, because I'll be realistic with you. I'd love to trade Escobedo, especially because he's a bit of a jerk and he's wanting a lot more money. I mean, there's a benefit of keeping him too, but especially because I want to find a bigger role for Danny Bowman. I want that on-base machine to get a chance to show that he can be an on-base machine if given the opportunity. But until then, my friends, this has been Eb Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you